All right. So thank you everybody for joining in this webinar. This webinar is brought to you by Connect Insights in collaboration with Xsellus. Uh, just before we start, there are some quick checks. The attendees of the webinar will be muted throughout the webinar. So if you have anything to let us know, you want to have some questions, you can put that in the questions panel that has been provided to you. If you face any glitches while the webinar is going on, you can't hear something, just try logging off and rejoin the webinar. Hopefully that helps. Also, please do a check on your internet connection. All the questions will be taken towards the end of the webinar. So we have a 45-minute webinar for you. Last 5-10 minutes we'll be taking the questions. So we'll try to answer as many as we can. And thank you again for joining in. The topic for today is 3 KPIs every salesperson should be tracking in their sales process. How to these KPIs will be very important for optimizing the sales process so that you get better results from your sales efforts, right? And this will be our focus for today's webinar. A quick introduction about myself. My name is Melvin Moraes. I have been in the marketing and sales industry for over a decade now. I work with various companies from the B2B and B2C space, and including agencies as well. Currently, I handle marketing and partnerships at Connect Insights. Now, Connect Insights is a social listening and analytics tool. We have been in the industry for over half a decade now, and we work with some of the top-notch brands across various industries, including automobiles, finance, food chains, e-commerce, FMCG, aviation, etc. So we work with all the top brands, as well as some good agencies who work with a lot of clients, right? We've seen a lot of companies using analytics day in and day out for their social media, for their digital marketing, and even for their sales. So that's where we come from. And I believe that analytics is a way everybody should indulge in, even in their personal lives, professional lives, so that by analyzing only you can improve your performance and take it to the next level. So that is my belief. And I'm very glad to be joined with Matt, all the way from Arizona. So what I'll do is I'll let Matt introduce himself in his style. Thank you, Matt, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Melvin. Thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. Just a little bit about me so you understand who I am. I am a sales coach, and I help companies around the world, including I have clients in India all throughout. So I really love what I do, helping out with them. I am a family guy first, beautiful wife and 2 girls, 2 kids that really keep me on my toes and make sure that I do everything for them and cater to them. I'm sure you know if you are a father or mother. I've been in sales for over 15 years. It is my passion. It is my heart. It is what I do, and I really enjoy that part of my life. I've done thousands of demos in the software world. Is really where I've gravitated. And so I've done thousands of demos myself. I've coached on thousands of them. I've coached many salespeople. And my own personal why I do this is because I've been fortunate enough to see some success and have some good things happen for me. It hasn't all been good. There's been plenty of down as well. But I went through a lot of struggles and figured out the magic formula for figuring out how to sell appropriately, how to make sure that you can achieve good success in sales. And so now what I do as a sales coach, I love sharing that. I don't like seeing others go through struggles. I don't like seeing their pain and their strife. And so I love sharing the formula to help them get over the hump and achieve success. And that's really my personal why, is watching them win, watching them succeed, and watching them achieve that same level of success without having to go through the struggle is really what I do it for. I really appreciate that. That formula that I created, and Melvin, you know this is the perfect deal process.
Right.
And it's really important, because if you don't do things right in your sales process, you're going to face a lot of struggle. I mean, a lot of struggle. And so I created this process to make it much easier. Now, I have a masterclass where I take people through this at length over 6 weeks, but just so you have kind of the short Cliff Notes version to understand, and it'll give you a good foundation for today's talk. Really, the first thing you need to do is discover. Discover is where you learn all about your buyers, learn what they are up to, learn their pains, learn their challenges, learn their goals. You've got to have all of that to be able to understand how to appropriately sell to them. Once you do that, you need to educate them. Now, a lot of people in sales think educating means educating them on your product or your company, but actually, educate here refers to talking about other things in the industry, demonstrating your expertise so that you know, or so you can show that you are the expert so they can trust you. Then you need to associate. And in associate, you're associating your product to their pain, their challenges, and their goals. This is something that very few sales reps are able to do well, is take your product and fit it to what they are going through. That's really important. And then lead. Throughout the process, you need to lead. That means controlling the conversation, understanding how to adequately take care of the customer while controlling the conversation, and then lead them right to the close. If you do everything right, you should be able to lead them to closing the deal really, really easily. And that's why it's the deal process, the perfect deal, DEAL, because you've got discover, educate, associate, and lead. What do you think, Melvin?
That is excellent, Matt. In fact, when you're talking about associate, I think a lot of people, a lot of sales reps, even in my earlier career, we fail to associate what our offering is with what the customer wants, and that is the lacking there. There's that big gap that we are trying to fill, and that association is very important because only then it will be a win-win situation for both us as a brand with our products and offering, and as for the customers who have a need and they want to fulfill that. And the last point that you mentioned, lead. If you have to actually control the conversation right from where the journey began of discovering who our customers are and what they want, up to the position where they want to patronize our business or work with us. If we had in control of that, I think we would be handling that relationship pretty well. And since we know what we are offering and we know what the customer wants, I think that's like the best mix that should be there in the sales. So I think this is a perfect process, and every salesperson should definitely adhere to these four core qualities that they should work on so that they get the best out of their efforts that they put in while selling.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. And that's something that I've seen as well throughout my career. And one thing for today's talk that I think we need to talk about is, we're talking about KPIs. Well, there's a really important saying out there, right? You know it, Melvin. If you can't manage what you don't measure. And that was the immortal Peter Drucker, very famous marketer and business gentleman who said that. And it's a really important thing that a lot of people, they look at that. I'm sure you at Connect Insights have seen that quite a bit.
True. In fact, the whole idea of Connect Insights is built on giving the ability of brands to measure something so that they can then take appropriate decisions and improve their performance. We basically believe in measuring each and everything that is possible. And sales is should not be left out because that is the most important process of every business. The business depends on that.
So true. Yeah, it really does depend on it. And this is a good quote that a lot of people look at, but I actually prefer another one just a little bit more. And that's if you don't measure it, you can't maximize it. Okay, so the reason I like this a little bit more is twofold. One, the other one talks about just managing it. And in sales, that's nice to be able to manage something. But to me, to manage something is just you're doing okay. So that's why I like maximize, because if we really want to scale, if we really want to grow, then that's what maximizing is. So that's the first reason I like it. The second reason is because it was me who said it. So
that's a nice one, Matt. That's a definitely very good one, actually. You have done a one-up on Peter Drucker.
I know. I will be sure to let him know. But let's talk about maximizing, because that's really what we want to be doing in sales with your KPIs. So I think that's a good thing. And Melvin, there's a lot of metrics that really help companies.
So Matt, we'll be focusing on 3 metrics, I believe, today. So I think let's go with the first one.
Yeah, that's good. You're right. So three metrics that we're going to look at. So KPI number 1, what is that? Well, that's your lead to first call rate. So when a lead comes in, how many of those leads are you getting into your first call? And well, there's reasons why you want to track this. a lot of companies are so focused on getting leads. You hear all this about how we're going to get new leads in our marketing and our advertising and what's going on. But so many times I see this, and I help a lot of companies around the world. They've got so much focus on what you're going to do for lead generation that you don't really put a lot of emphasis on what happens once that lead comes in. And that can be very detrimental. In fact, there was a drift study, and more than half of the companies didn't even respond to their leads within 5 days.
Wow.
So when you have 55% of companies not getting back to their leads within 5 days, which is crazy, why are you spending so much money and effort on lead generation in the first place if you can't even handle them once they come in?
Absolutely. So, I agree with you that, Matt. Absolutely. If you're putting so much efforts in your generating that lead and then you're not contacting that person at the right time, I think you've missed the bus. You've missed the game totally. I mean, you should not be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so really, it's we look at how do you make sure you're not like those companies? How are you not like those 55 that forget about the leads or don't get to them? And really, it's process. It's really all about the process. If you have a good structured process for when a lead comes in, then you're going to be good. You're going to be able to take care of those leads and make sure that you can get them through your sales funnel adequately.
Right.
So a lot of people ask me, well, hold on, does it look desperate if we call too soon? Does it look like we had no other leads if we call right away because, hey, maybe we have nothing going on in this company, we don't have any customers or leads, so it looks bad? Well, so a lot of people ask me that, does it look desperate? And my answer to that is, well, let's look at the stats, okay? Because how soon should you contact? What's the percentage of customers who buy from the company that called them first? What do you think? What is that percentage?
Let me take a wild guess. I'm presuming it should be above 50, definitely. Say in the range of 60 to 70.
Yeah, you're really good. You're really good. It's actually 78%. 78% of customers buy from the company that called them first. So how do you know how soon that is? How soon should you be calling in order to beat the competition? Because we've already seen that, hey, it's not desperate. You don't look desperate if you call first. 78% buy from that first company. But how soon is first? Well, when inbound leads are contacted in the first 5 minutes, okay, that's really important. So when somebody puts in a lead in your system and it comes through, if you contact them within that first 5 minutes, guess what? There's a 900% increase in connections. How many times has it happened where somebody puts a lead in and then, later on you give them a call and you can't reach them and they're not there, and then you send an email and they don't respond? It happens all the time, right? Well, if you can call within 5 minutes, you just increased your chance of connecting with them by 900%.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
Definitely a big number.
It is a big number. That's pretty important. So already now we know, okay, well, maybe we should be calling soon. But can we be even better? Can we do better than that? What if inbound leads are contacted in the first minute, right after they come in? What would that mean? Well, that is actually a 391% increase in conversions. So that's not connections anymore. That's not just you get a chance to connect with them. Now we're talking about an increase in sales. If you call within the first minute, it's a 391% increase in the number of sales you'll make. So that's pretty amazing.
Phenomenal again. In fact, I mean, that question when you asked before, like how soon you should call, but 1 minute you're getting a 391% increase in conversions. I think that's the mantra for everybody. Just when you get a lead, do all your research and call. Be the first person to make that move. I think, yeah, this seals the deal for me, actually. It's a great learning for us. In fact, let me give you an example from my current organization. So we make it a point that whenever we get a lead, we try to, since we are B2B, so we have to do some amount of research about our inquiry or the person that has come in, the company that has come in. But we make it a point to contact the person at least within the first few minutes, so that that connect is there, because that's when we believe hit the iron when it's hot. And I think that's the whole idea of the conversion increasing so many fold because of the you're actually touching the customer when they actually need you. That's the reason why they have put in that inquiry. So yeah, I second this number definitely. In fact, I was expecting a little less, but this is like a whopping number for me, and I think everybody should adhere to calling their leads as soon as possible. Thanks for this, Matt. This is very valuable information.
Yeah, that's great that you guys are doing that. And everybody knows Connect Insights is a great company that's on top of things. But so many times I've heard where people say, yeah, when we get a lead, we try to contact within the first 24 hours. Okay, well, that's good within a day, but guess what? They're going to start to forget you, and those other competitors are going to reach out before you, and you're going to lose. And so other people say, yeah, we try to call within the first couple hours. And then some of them, yeah, we get there within an hour. That's great, right? And myself, I knew I wanted to be good, and so I was trying to get my team to do it within the first 15 minutes. And before I knew this information, I thought 15 minutes was great. I thought that was really, really quick. But once I learned this, and it's been a few years, I said, whoa, okay, we need to put in the right process, the right systems to make sure that we are getting to them right away. And once we did that, these numbers are true. That worked for us. We hockey sticked up. We went really, really north in our numbers, and it was fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah, definitely do that. How does it compare? So how many companies are responding within 5 minutes? And it's kind of interesting how many actually do it that quickly. Well, it's only 7%. 7% of companies get there within 5 minutes. That means that if you are not, you have a chance that some competitors are. But if you can do it, you have big chances that most of your competitors are not, and you will be first, and you will be winning the deal 3 out of 4 times. All right, so the moral of the story, yeah, let's contact ASAP.
Yes. That's the mantra for every salesperson, actually. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we just want to ask, is this making sense for everybody out there? If you could just post it in the chat, does this make sense? Does this resonate with you? Just go ahead and drop a yes or makes sense or whatever in that chat there.
All right.
Or at least let us know that
makes sense. Yes, I'm getting out of makes sense. Yeah. Yes. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's making sense to a lot of people. In fact, I'm sure most of them will be agreeing with this. Yes. Everybody who's in sales will definitely agree with this. Sure about it. I can speak for all of the sales people who are there on the air.
Very good. Okay. What do you think, Melvin? Should we move on?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Okay, great. So KPI number 2 that's really important is the CAC payback period. And I just love that phrase, CAC payback. It's always gotten me. And it kind of reminds me of, you know, those movies, and, you know, they took his family and, oh, he's so mad. Mel Gibson is Jack Payback. I've always think of this. It's like those funny names of characters in those movies where they're going to go get him. They're going to go get the bad guys. Jack Payback. And it's just every time I hear the word CAC Payback, that's what I think of. Mel Gibson being really mad at yelling at people on the phone. So that's, I might have ruined that KPI for you.
It's got a nice ring to it.
Same thing. What's that, Melvin?
It's got a nice ring to it. You know, it's like CAC Payback. Yeah. Sounds great. Lovely. Good one, Matt.
Yeah, I would say if you're named Jack Payback, chances are that some bad guys are going to steal your kids at some point, and you got to go get them. So if your last name is Payback, don't name your kids Jack, because it's going to happen. But first of all, let's look at this metric here. What is CAC? And it's a funny thing to say, but it is really important. And really what it is it's customer acquisition cost. This is your big number of how much it's costing you to acquire customers. And so how do you figure it out? What's the formula for that? Well, it's the total cost of your sales and marketing divided by the number of customers acquired. So it's really quite simple to figure that out. It's just all of your sales and marketing, all the budget for payroll, all the expense around your people, all the advertising, all the marketing, all of that stuff. And the CAC payback period, what's that? Because that was just CAC. What's CAC payback? Well, that's the amount of months it takes to cover the CAC based on your average revenue per account, which is ARPA. another cool KPI. And so it's, if your CAC payback period, what that is it's just basically how long does it take to cover, in terms of revenues that you're getting in, the amount you spent to get that customer. Let's do an example because it might make it a little bit easier to understand. Yeah. So we look at the total cost of sales and marketing. And so let's just say it's 20,000. Now I know we have some people on the call that say 20,000, that's ridiculous, I would never pay that much. And we have other people on the call that say 20,000, that's very tiny. But let's just use this. So 20,000 is the example, and you closed from that 20,000, 20 customers. Okay, so you had a month. Again, some people are like, wow, I can't imagine closing 20 in a month, or some say, whoa, that was a terrible month. But nonetheless, that's what we're going with. So out of that, we figure out that the CAC is 1,000. You divide the number, there it is. It costs you $1,000 to get each of your customers. Again, some would think that's great, some would think that's terrible. But what you want to do from there, in order to get the CAC payback, is take that ARPA, the average revenue per account, or the average customer revenue, and basically you look at that, the CAC divided by that number, and it takes you 10 months to get that back. If you spent 1,000 on your customer and you get 100 from that customer, your CAC payback period is 10 months. Now, if you do that, that's going to make Mel happy. Okay, Mel's happy, you got a 10-month CAC payback. Well, why is Mel happy? Because there are benchmarks in this, and the benchmark for CAC payback is 12 months. So if you can be under 12 months, if you can recoup the revenue back from what you spent to get your customers within 12 months, then that's great. But what if it's over 12 months? You got Mad Mel again. So don't go over 12 months, because then it's going to be a bad situation for your company. You don't want Mel calling you up and yelling at you. So from the experts, and this is interesting, David Skock, big time investor, general partner, Matrix Partners. Many startups require 15 to 18 months to recoup the acquisition costs on a new customer, which puts an enormous strain on capital unless your investors are willing to keep pumping in cash. Not many investors are willing to keep pumping in cash if that's your CAC payback. That's a long time. Right. So focus on keeping your CAC low enough to be recovered in a year. Yeah, that's definitely good. Keep your CAC, your costs in line so that you can get it back in a year. But actually, David, you're an expert investor. You should have known that there are two ways to help the CAC payback. Yes, you can lower your sales and marketing costs. That's one way. Or you could, sell better, because that would help out as well, won't it? So all of that money you're investing, what if you actually sold better? Melvin, let's look at that example too, because I want to see what happens if we switch the numbers up a little bit. So you still have that 20,000 for your total cost, but because we don't want to cut costs, let's say you sell better, and instead of you sell 20 customers, you sold 40 customers. Okay, so now we have a better team, we have a better process making it happen. Well, that means our CAC is now going to be 500 instead of the 1,000 that we saw before. We have the same average revenue per account, it's the same dollar amount. And so now our CAC payback, pretty easy math, that's 5 months. That's even better. And of course, that makes Mel happy. And in fact, if Mel was an investor, he sees something like that, he's not going to be alone. You're going to have a lot of investors coming after you if you have a really good CAC payback period like that.
Yeah.
And Melvin, you know this for sure, because which would you rather do? You've got two ways to fix your CAC payback. You can cut costs, just like David said, or you can sell more. Which would be better? Because if you cut costs, guess what? You're letting people go. That's what sales and marketing cost is. It's primarily your people, your staff. But if you sell more, those people are very happy. So which leader would you rather be?
Sell more, basically. It's all about maximizing, as you mentioned, as per your quote initially, maximizing of what you're currently doing. Instead, cutting costs is basically downsizing, which is not the way, not every company would want to do that, So I think it's all about selling more. So improving our efforts so that the more number of numbers come in and we get more customers, coming in for us and helping our business. So yeah, I agree with that. Sell more is the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Melvin, for sure. So how are we doing so far? Is this resonating with everybody?
Yep, let's check.
You can go ahead and write there in the chat. Yes, this looks good. This is great. Absolutely able to do
makes sense. Yes, Absolutely.
Good.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Makes sense. Yes. Right. I think that definitely resounds with a lot of people. So I think we can move on to the next one, the next KPI.
Perfect. So the next
So what is
KPI,
that? Bring it on.
what's that, Melvin?
I said, bring it on. Let's look at the third one.
Bring it on. Let's do it. I love it. So the next one is your LTV to CAC ratio. So now we're getting into ratios. We learned what CAC is, but now we're looking at LTV to CAC. So what is that? Well, Ryan Downey, a startup funding consultant, says these KPIs should be included in almost every business plan, and VCs will expect to see forecasts and analysis on the topic. So if you are looking for investments, then this is a really, really good one. So what is this LTV all about? Well, LTV means lifetime value. Don't get me started on the fact that it should actually be LV, because those are the only two words there, but it's LTV. That's what people go with. So LTV, that actually is your ARPA, your average revenue per account, divided by your churn rate. So now we got churn involved. Churn meaning how many of your customers are leaving you. And so we really want to figure out that lifetime value, meaning if you sell somebody, how much is that going to get you over the course of their life with your company? That's really what this is all about. So if we have that formula, the LTV is the ARPA divided by the churn rate, you can help your LTV by increase your ARPA, right? If you get more average revenue per account, then you're going to have a better LTV. Or you can decrease your churn rate. If you're keeping people, then that means the lifetime value is going to be bigger, because if they stay around longer, they're going to keep paying you every month or every year. And so you're going to have a better lifetime value. That's a good thing. You want that. Well, now the LTV to CAC ratio. Let's look back at our original formula. That original formula was 20,000 that we spent on sales and marketing. We got 20 customers that month. And so our CAC, our customer acquisition cost, was $1,000. Okay, separate formula now. We have the ARPA, your average revenue per customer, average revenue per account, divided by your churn rate now. So this is how many of your customers are leaving you, and it's a percentage, so 2%. Let's say 2%. Again, some people will say, whoa, that's crazy low, and some people say, wow, that's too high. No worries, we're going with 2%. So if we took that and divided it out, you're going to get your lifetime value at $5,000. That means for every customer you get over the course of their life, on average, it's going to get you $5,000. Okay, now we have those two numbers, the CAC and the LTV. So let's compare them. Let's do a ratio. We've got our lifetime value at 5K. We've got our CAC at 1,000. And I know I'm using dollars. I'm sorry, I'm American. There's no rupees here, but we are using dollars. Same principles. And you'll see that that's really a 5-to-1 ratio, isn't it? So at a 5-to-1 ratio, what do you think, Melvin? Is that good?
I bet it is 5-to-1 ratio. I mean, if you are getting five grants on your customers, I mean, for their average lifetime, I think that's a very good ratio. I believe the LTV has to be above 2%. That's what I think is the generic industry standard. But yeah, 5, and I'm sure it's like you're there. You're one of the successful businesses that is getting that.
Yeah, it is, and definitely if you have a 5-to-1 ratio, meaning you give me $1 and I'm going to give you $5 every time,
$5.
Then that's something you'd like to invest in. And Mel says, yes, I'm happy with that. In fact, that's a great number. If you have a 5-to-1 ratio on your LTV to CAC, you're doing really well. You're going to have investors coming after you. But let's look at that. What should it be? If your LTV to CAC ratio is this, then you're this. Okay, so if your ratio is less than 1, meaning you're spending more money on your sales and marketing than you're actually getting on the customers you get, guess what? You're dead. That's not going to work out too well. If you're spending more to get customers than they will actually pay you over the course of their life, then why are you even in business? It's not going to work. Similarly, if your LTV to CAC is 1, you're also dead. Even if you spend the same amount that you get back, again, why are you doing it? But guess what? The LTV to CAC is only counting your sales and marketing expense. It doesn't count everything else, all your fixed costs and your administrative costs and your office costs and everything else. So even if you're at 1, you're still losing money. That's a bad scenario. Now, once you get 1 to 3, okay, we're starting to make some things happen, and that's when you have to get to work. Okay, you're not quite where you need to be. You need to be putting in those long hours, making sure that you can get things better and improve these numbers so that you can be a more viable company. But what about 3 to 5? Oh, we just looked at 5, but 3 to 5, that's when you celebrate. That's when you're in the right ratio. You're looking good. If your LTV to CAC is anywhere from 3 to 5, investors are going to like you. Your company's going to be doing well. You're going to be profitable, most likely. That's when you can say, yes, we've done the right things. But what about over 5? Because 3 to 5 is good, right? What if we want even more? Let's get more money back for all the money we're putting in. So above 5, how is that? Well, actually, once you get above 5, you need to take a step back, okay? You might be able to get in the 5s or 6 somewhere, but actually, once you get above 5, that means that you're not spending enough on your growth, right? If you're above 5, that means your sales and marketing costs are very low compared to the amount you get back. So you should be putting more into your company. Put more dollars in, put more marketing out there, more salespeople, whatever it is, because that's when you fuel your growth. You have found a good industry, you've got a good product market fit, and you have a good team making it happen. You're getting a lot of customers and they're staying with you for a long time. Get money into that company. Fuel your growth and get that LTV to CAC back down to 3 to 5. And guess what? Those numbers are going to go up a lot. Your overall profitability, your revenues, you're going to look really, really good as a company. You're going to be living the high life. So in those chances, get that money into the company and fuel the growth. Okay.
That is fantastic, Matt. Yeah, in fact, that's a good learning for all of us, because generally we always think you maximize, you have to go keep increasing that LTV value, but that's a very valid point. Once you're crossing that threshold, you have to look back, unlearn, understand what, if you are actually investing the right amount in your company, and if you can do that more, I think we are on track in terms of giving back to even the company that is helping you get that business. So yeah, that's a very valid point, in fact. And I think let's summarize the three KPIs that we have seen today, Matt. I'm sure it's a lot of things to understand. So if we summarize it, I think it'll resonate more, register more with our audience here today. All right. So you want to do that, Matt?
Yeah. Either way, I can do it. You can do it. Up to you.
You can take that. You've been the master here.
Sure thing. So yeah, we've looked at our 3 KPIs. We've got the lead to call ratio. And really the big takeaway is get on those leads. If you have leads coming in, if you've spent that time and money and resources to get leads, jump on them immediately. Beat your competitors, get to them right away, and you'll be closing a lot more deals. There are ways you can do that. I teach classes on all of that. So if you want to learn, just ping me, or you can reach me on LinkedIn and I can teach you some of the ways. But the lead to call, get that happening really quickly. And then the CAC payback, make sure that you're getting money, enough money back from your customers so that you can pay back what you spent to get them within 12 months. And really, if you want to have really good growth, 6 to 9 months would be excellent for your CAC payback period. And don't go over 12 months. If you go over 12 months, you have to start figuring out, why is it taking us so long to recoup costs on what we're spending? And then, of course, what we hit last, the lifetime value to the customer acquisition cost ratio. Make sure that ratio is in the right range, and that's the 3 to 5 range. Lower than that, you're in trouble. And above that, you need to put more money into the company to fuel the growth. So does that adequately summarize it, Melvin?
Yes, Pat, completely. In fact, I would just like to circle back to the first point, lead to call ratio. In fact, the stat, going back to the stat, if you call within first minute, the chances of your conversions are 397%. So please, it's a lesson for everybody here. Try to call your customer, the lead that has put in an inquiry. Just try to make sure that you have a process in place, which you go back to that lead and call them up, speak to them, respond to them within that first few minutes. That will really have a very good impact on your business and the relationship between you and that customer. And I think, yes, lifetime value between 3 to 5 is the most optimum number that we should look at. And also try to reduce the churn rate, because that is very important in terms of improving the lifetime value. If the churn rate is high, I think then that's a lot of work for the company to do. Yes, that I think pretty much covers our three KPIs, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well summarized, Melvin. And I think what's most important, the learning from this is track this, but track them over time, like Lighter Capital is telling us here. You'll get the most value from these if you really track them over time. And actually, I have a spreadsheet. So if you want, you can reach out to me. And I have a spreadsheet that has all these in there, including the benchmarks, and makes it easy for you to track so you can see the growth and the trends over time. So just reach out to me. I can send that to you. But it's really important. And by the way, if you track them, you're going to get happy Mel. Mel's going to really love it. He's going to see your growth. He's going to see your good trajectory, and he'll be clapping and cheering for you. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helps. Hope this makes it easier for you to understand these metrics. And what do you think, Melvin? Should we open it up for questions?
Yes, I think we should definitely. So we have a few minutes in hand, and I'm starting to see the questions coming in. So the first question that we have is, which KPI would you suggest is the best to analyze for a successful brand entering a new market? So a previously successful brand entering a new market, what would be the KPI that they should look at?
Well, it's difficult. If you're entering a new market, initially you really need to put out some cash in order to get into that market. You need good salespeople to go out and find some new business. You need to be marketing. You need to be advertising. So early on, before you're looking for the profitability levels and you're looking for investment, your CAC, your LTV ratios, they're going to be a little off, and that's okay. As long as you know, hey, we're really putting money into the company to try and fuel the growth early. It's okay if our ratios are off. Once we get that traction, once we start to get a foothold in the market, then we can start working on these metrics to make sure we get them right so we can achieve scale and profitability.
Okay, so I think that should answer the question. This is a very interesting one in terms of startups. Matt, since you work with a lot of startups, here's one. How do we calculate LTV if you're a startup?
Yeah, you can't really calculate LTV if you're a startup. It's very hard being a startup. I've been a part of 4 myself, and it's very difficult. You don't know how to price. You don't know how to figure out what you should be spending in order to get. So I can't give you a good answer there. The best thing I can tell you that I advise startups, and I work with a lot of them, is figure out your product market fit first. Make sure that your product that you've designed fits for your market. Make sure that it solves their problems. Make sure it fixes their challenges and helps them reach their goals. Once you do that, it'll be a lot easier to equate the value of that product and what people are willing to pay. Once you get that pricing just right, then you can start to figure out your LTV to CAC and start to understand how much should we be putting into the company, into sales and marketing in order to generate business. So this is why so many startups don't make it, because it's a very difficult threshold. It's a very difficult barrier. But if you can get that product market fit and know that your product is a good fit for your market and is solving problems, it's going to make things a lot easier.
All right. I hope that answers the question. Another interesting one. Do you have any tips, Matt, for improving the conversation for the first call, the first response that you give to the customer? So if you'd like to share some of your experience with us.
Yeah, on your lead to call, very important. The best tip I can give you is have somebody on your team where it's their #1 priority. So the challenge on why so many people wait so long is because they've got all these other things going on. Oh, a lead came in. Well, I've got this to do, and I've got this to do, and I've got to figure out that. I've got to call this person back, and so you don't get to it. But if you have somebody that's their #1 priority, yeah, they might have other things, but as you grow, you should have at least somebody that's all they do. If you get enough leads coming in the door, that should be their focus. That when a lead comes in, bang, they call it right away. And calls are much more valuable than an email. And email's okay, but if you can call, it's really, really important, really valuable, and you'll get a lot of success out of it. So if you can make it so that one person that's either their priority of all their tasks or that is their task, that's all they do, then it will really, really reap rewards for you.
Okay, so I think we have a time for a couple of more questions. So one question is regarding churn rate, Matt. So what parameters to consider while calculating the churn rate?
Yeah, churn rate is very easy, actually. It's how many people are leaving of your total number of people. You can look at monthly churn rate or annual churn rates, dependent on how you want to track it. But I've always liked that if you have a monthly system, basically a monthly recurring revenue, and anybody can cancel at any time, then every month, essentially your entire customer base is renewing with you if they don't cancel. So you'd look at how many of your customers left you that month. If you have an annual contract, then you're looking at how many of your customers are leaving you every year, essentially. What percentage of your customers leave every year? There's all kinds of other metrics you can get into, including your net MRR, meaning how many of your customers that you have are you upselling and getting more revenue from versus how many have left. So it's kind of calculating your net growth. But in terms of churn rate, it's very simple. Just figure out how many of your customers, what percentage of your customers are leaving you. This churn rate was a churn based on number of customers. You can also do your churn dollars. So if you want to say, hey, we're not going to look at the churn numbers, we're going to look at churn dollars, meaning, okay, let's say some of your companies that left you are very small and some of your smallest companies. If you get rid of all those, your total MRR may not change very much. Your total revenue may not change because just small companies left. And so you may want to look at churn dollars to see how much money has left you, not necessarily how many companies have left you, if that makes sense.
Okay. All right. So Matt, this is one interesting question here. It's SaaS, so I'm sure it's something that you master at. It's more related to IT and SaaS. So the question is, what is the ideal payback period for IT industry or B2B and SaaS?
Yeah, within 12 months. So that is my industry. In fact, SaaS, and I help a lot of companies. I've done a lot of startups myself. I've exited several times. I've worked with investors to get money in the door. And under 12 months is their threshold. It's going to be difficult to find investors over 12 months. Not saying it's impossible. You can do it. It just makes it harder, and you're going to get bad return on the money that they're giving you. So if you can get it under 12 months, that's good. And the more you can get it down, the better. 6 months, they're going to be all over you. 5 months, they'll be all over you. You'll be doing really, really well. They might come in and want to actually increase those numbers again because they want to put more money in the company. But eventually, they're going to want that coming back down once you've attained that next threshold, that next level of growth. But yeah, 12 months is kind of the break point, give or take.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up the webinar, Matt. I think we should close it now. We've reached our time. So thank you very much. There are some additional questions. You can reach out to Matt directly, as he said, and I'm sure he'll be very happy to answer those questions. You can connect with him on LinkedIn. It's Matt Wolach. If you need, you can connect with me, and I'll give you his email ID directly, so you can reach out to him. And thank you very much. You've been a wonderful audience. A lot of questions coming in. I've seen the energy high when we were checking in, and the responses were there. So thank you very much. I know it's India, it's pretty late, but the spirit has been high, the interest has been, and look forward to another wonderful session. And Matt, thank you very much for all your insights today. You've really given us a lot to think about. Every sales professional out here would be really that benefited from all these KPIs that we've spoken today, and how they can improve their process and get better results for their company. So thank you. Thanks a lot for sharing your insights, and look forward for another one very soon. Have a nice day ahead.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.